the reconnaissance report of discovery that changed everything. Commander Zephyr's 6 eyes focused intently on the holographic display floating before her bridge station. Her sleek reconnaissance vessel, the Whisper of Stars, had been drifting at the edge of an unremarkable star system for 3 rotations, conducting the most thorough scan in her 15-year career. What she discovered there would either make her the most celebrated scout in the hegemony fleet or cost her everything she had worked for. The 3rd planet from the local star was teeming with life. Not just any life, but intelligent life that had somehow escaped the hegemony's vast network of surveillance and control. The electromagnetic signatures were unmistakable. Cities blazed with artificial light across the nightside continents. Primitive radio waves carried what appeared to be entertainment and communication signals. Most fascinating of all, the inhabitants seemed completely unaware that they were living in territory claimed by the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. Zephyr's elongated fingers danced across her control interface, recording every detail with the precision that had earned her this assignment. The planet's defenders, if they could even be called that, possessed technology that seemed frozen in time. Their fastest atmospheric vehicles moved at speeds that would embarrass a cargo hauler from the outer colonies. Their space presence consisted of a handful of small stations orbiting their homeworld, and a few crude probes that had barely reached their system's edge. The tactical analysis was almost laughable. No energy shields protected their cities. No orbital defense platforms guarded their approaches. No faster-than-light communication networks linked them to potential allies. They burned fossil fuels for energy while the galaxy had moved beyond such primitive methods millennia ago. Most telling of all, their military forces carried projectile weapons that fired small metal slugs through chemical propulsion. Zephyr transmitted her findings through the hegemony's quantum communication network, knowing that within moments her report would reach the council chambers on Dominus Prime, the capital world that ruled over 400 star systems. She had discovered what every military commander dreamed of finding: a populated world rich in resources, strategically positioned and completely defenseless. The council's decision 3,000 light-years away. Admiral Korath studied Zephyr's report with the satisfaction of a predator that had spotted easy prey. His cybernetic implants processed the data faster than organic minds could comprehend. But the conclusion was obvious even without enhancement. This world, which the inhabitants called Earth, represented the perfect opportunity to demonstrate the hegemony's growing power to potential rivals in the galactic community. The timing was particularly fortuitous. Recent conflicts with the Centauri Alliance had strained the hegemony's reputation. Some member worlds had begun questioning whether the protection fees they paid were truly necessary. A swift, decisive conquest of a new world would remind everyone why the hegemony had remained unchallenged for over 1,000 years. Korath's scarred face, marked by battles across dozens of worlds, twisted into what might have been a smile on a more pleasant species. His hands, augmented with precision targeting systems, traced the optimal invasion routes on his tactical display. The humans, as they called themselves, had clustered their population centers along coastlines and river valleys, making them perfect targets for orbital bombardment. Their primitive communication networks would be easily disrupted, preventing any coordinated resistance. The Council's vote was unanimous. Within 6 rotations, Admiral Vex would lead the 7th Conquest Fleet to Earth's system. The humans would be given the standard choice: immediate surrender and integration into the hegemony as a client species, or complete annihilation followed by colonization by more compliant populations. Given their obvious technological limitations, surrender seemed inevitable. What none of the council members knew was that their quantum communications, considered completely secure by the galaxy's finest cryptographers, were being intercepted by a small research station in Earth's Antarctic region. The signal in the snow DR. Marcus Rivera pulled his thermal coat tighter against the Antarctic wind as he approached the communications array that had been his life's work for the past 7 years. The isolation of the research station suited him perfectly. Here, surrounded by nothing but ice and sky, he could pursue theoretical physics without the distractions of academic politics or government oversight. His colleagues back at the university thought he was wasting his talents on impossible experiments. They had no idea how close he was to revolutionizing humanity's understanding of quantum mechanics. The array itself looked unremarkable, a collection of crystalline structures arranged in precise geometric patterns, connected by cables that carried supercooled quantum processors. To most observers, it would appear to be just another radio telescope. Rivera knew better. He had spent 5 years developing the quantum entanglement principles that allowed these devices to detect and decode faster-than-light communications across interstellar distances. The breakthrough had come accidentally. While testing quantum field resonance patterns, Rivera had detected structured signals that couldn't possibly originate from any human source. The mathematical precision was too perfect, the encoding too sophisticated. Either someone was playing an incredibly elaborate prank, or humanity was not alone in the universe. Rivera's hands trembled with more than cold as he reviewed the latest intercepted transmission. His translation algorithms, based on pattern recognition and mathematical relationships, had finally cracked enough of the alien language to understand the terrifying truth. An invasion fleet was coming to Earth, not in decades or centuries, but in days. The technical specifications in the alien communications painted a picture of military technology that made Earth's most advanced weapons look like stone tools. Energy weapons that could level cities from orbit, shields that could deflect nuclear warheads, ships that could cross interstellar distances in weeks instead of centuries. Rivera's first instinct was to contact the government, but he quickly realized the futility of that approach. Even if they believed him, which was unlikely, Earth's military forces couldn't hope to match the invaders' technology. Conventional resistance would only result in humanity's complete destruction, but Rivera had never been conventional. As he studied the alien technical data, his mind raced through possibilities that would have seemed impossible just hours earlier. The invaders' technology was advanced, but it followed principles that Rivera recognized: quantum field manipulation, dimensional resonance, energy-matter conversion, technologies that human science was on the verge of understanding. The captains, Dilemma Captain Sarah Chen, stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, Earth's most advanced military spacecraft. Though she knew that description was relative at best, the ship was humanity's pride, equipped with experimental fusion drives, advanced sensor arrays, and the most sophisticated artificial intelligence ever created. Against any terrestrial threat, the Defiant was formidable. Against what Rivera's data suggested was coming, it might as well be a rowboat in a hurricane. Chen had spent 15 years working her way up through the ranks of the Global Defense Force, earning recognition for her tactical innovations and ability to solve impossible problems. Her crews respected her because she never asked them to take risks she wouldn't take herself. Her superiors valued her because she consistently achieved objectives that others deemed unreachable. Now she faced the ultimate test of those abilities. Rivera's contact had come through official channels, his credentials verified by intelligence agencies that were still struggling to process the implications of his discovery. The physicist had shared not just his warning, but detailed technical specifications that suggested possibilities Chen had never imagined. The alien fleet approaching Earth possessed technology that seemed almost magical by human standards. But Rivera had identified weaknesses in their systems, theoretical vulnerabilities that could be exploited by someone with sufficient understanding of quantum mechanics and enough courage to attempt the impossible. Chen gathered her senior staff in the Defiance briefing room, studying their faces as Rivera explained his plan through secure video link. Her officers were the best humanity had to offer. Commander Jackson, her tactical officer, had revolutionized orbital combat doctrine. Dr. Lisa Park, her science officer, held advanced degrees in theoretical physics and had personally overseen the Defiant's most experimental systems. Chief engineer Torres had somehow managed to exceed the ship's design specifications in every performance category. Even they looked skeptical as Rivera outlined his proposal. The plan required modifications to Earth's most sensitive military systems. It demanded precise coordination between installations scattered across the globe. Most challenging of all, it required them to trust theoretical science that had never been tested beyond computer simulations. Rivera's voice carried absolute conviction as he concluded his presentation. The approaching alien fleet expected to find a primitive world with no defenses beyond crude chemical rockets and metal projectiles. They were correct about humanity's conventional capabilities. What they didn't understand was that humans had always excelled at turning disadvantages into strengths. The quantum gambit made her decision with the cold calculation that had made her one of Earth's most effective military commanders. If Rivera was wrong about the alien threat, they would have wasted resources and effort on an elaborate precaution. If he was wrong about his proposed solution, humanity would face extinction with the same result as if they had done nothing. But if he was right about both the threat and the solution, they had a chance to achieve something unprecedented in human history. They could defend their world against invaders whose technology surpassed theirs by centuries of development. The next 72 hours transformed from routine military operations into the most intensive scientific and engineering project in human civilization. Teams of physicists, engineers, and technicians worked around the clock to modify existing systems according to Rivera's specifications. Quantum resonance chambers were installed in strategic locations around the globe. Communication networks were reconfigured to operate on quantum entanglement principles. Most critically, the orbital defense platforms that most governments didn't officially acknowledge were equipped with experimental field generators that existed only in theoretical models. Rivera himself traveled to the primary installation, a facility hidden beneath the Colorado mountains that served as the nerve center for Earth's most classified defense projects. The irony wasn't lost on him that humanity's salvation might come from the same mountain complex that had been designed to ensure survival after nuclear war. The facility's quantum processing center had been built to crack enemy encryption and coordinate global communications. With Rivera's modifications, it became something unprecedented, a weapon that could manipulate the fundamental structure of space-time itself. Not to destroy, but to relocate. Not to kill, but to confuse and disorient. Chen coordinated the global preparations from orbit, her ship serving as the primary relay point for the quantum communication network that would be essential to their plan's success. Every major military installation on Earth was now connected through quantum entanglement, allowing instantaneous coordination regardless of distance or electromagnetic interference. As the alien fleet entered Earth's solar system, humanity held its breath. Conventional sensors detected the approaching ships long before they reached Earth orbit. The invaders made no attempt at stealth, apparently confident that their overwhelming technological superiority made concealment unnecessary. Rivera's intercepted communications confirmed their assessment. The alien commander, Admiral Vex, was already planning the victory celebration that would follow humanity's inevitable surrender. His massive flagship, the Dominion's Fist, led a formation of vessels that could reduce Earth's civilization to ash within hours of arriving. What Admiral Vex couldn't detect were the quantum field generators that were powering up around the globe, or the resonance patterns that were beginning to establish themselves in the space around Earth. To his sensors, the planet below remained as defenseless as it had appeared in the original reconnaissance reports. Chen watched her tactical displays with the focused intensity of a chess master planning moves 20 steps in advance. Every element of Rivera's plan was falling into place with the precision that only desperate necessity could inspire. In 12 hours, they would discover whether human ingenuity could triumph over alien superiority. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Sarah Chen had never felt more alive. The vanishing actor fleet that shook the stars. Admiral Vex stood in the command center of the Dominion's Fist. His forearms crossed in satisfaction as he surveyed the tactical display. Before him, the massive hologram showed his conquest fleet in perfect formation, each vessel positioned with the precision that had made the hegemony the dominant force in the galaxy. 200 warships, ranging from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, moved through space like a choreographed dance of destruction. The flagship itself was a monument to hegemony engineering, stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern. The Dominion's Fist carried enough firepower to reduce a planet's surface to molten slag. Its armor could withstand direct hits from Stellar-class weapons. Its shields generated energy fields that could deflect entire asteroid belts. Most impressive of all, its quantum processing cores could coordinate simultaneous attacks across multiple star systems while analyzing enemy tactics in real time. Vex had used this ship to conquer 18 worlds during his 40-year career. Each victory had added to his reputation as the hegemony's most effective field commander. The beings he defeated invariably possessed some combination of advanced technology, strategic positioning, or numerical superiority that made them appear formidable. None of those advantages had prevented their eventual subjugation. Earth represented a different kind of challenge entirely. The planet possessed no advanced technology, no strategic allies, and no military forces capable of reaching beyond their own atmosphere. In conventional terms, conquering Earth would be like using a stellar weapon to destroy a soap bubble. The outcome was never in doubt. What made this mission significant was its political implications. The Hegemony Council wanted a demonstration of power that would discourage potential rebellions in the outer systems. The complete annexation of an entire populated world, accomplished with minimal effort and maximum visibility, would remind everyone why challenging the hegemony was futile. Vex's tactical officers, reported from their stations around the command, center their voices carrying the confidence of beings who had never experienced defeat. Energy weapons were charged and ready. Shield generators operated at peak efficiency. Troop transports were prepared for immediate deployment. Every system aboard every ship in the fleet showed optimal performance ratings. The Admiral's implants processed incoming data from his reconnaissance drones, confirming what Commander Zephyr's original report had indicated. Earth's orbital space contained nothing more threatening than primitive communication, satellites, and crude research stations. The planet's surface showed no signs of military preparation. No defensive positions were being fortified. No population centers were being evacuated. The humans appeared to be continuing their normal activities, as if they were completely unaware of the fleet approaching their world. Either they possessed incredible courage in the face of certain annihilation, or they were simply too primitive to understand what was about to happen to them. The moment of truth. Dar Marcus Rivera stood in the quantum control center, buried beneath the Colorado mountains, his hands steady despite the magnitude of what he was about to attempt. Around him, displays showed data streams from installations across the globe. Every quantum resonance chamber was operational. Every field generator was powered and ready. Every communication relay was synchronized through quantum entanglement. Alien fleet had moved into optimal position, just as Rivera's calculations had predicted they would. The Flagship led the formation, its massive bulk making it the perfect target for what he planned to do. The other vessels maintained standard tactical spacing, close enough to provide mutual support, but far enough apart to avoid collision if unexpected maneuvers became necessary. What the aliens couldn't detect was the quantum field network that Earth's scientists had constructed around their planet, invisible to conventional sensors. The field existed in a dimensional state that intersected with normal space only when specifically activated. Rivera had spent years developing the theoretical framework that made such technology possible. Today, he would discover whether theory could survive contact with reality. Captain Sarah Chen's voice came through the quantum communication link, steady and professional despite the unprecedented nature of their situation. Her ship, the Defiant, was positioned at the edge of Earth's sensor range, ready to provide real-time intelligence about the alien fleet's movements and reactions. Rivera's fingers moved across, his control interface with the precision of a concert pianist. Each adjustment to the quantum field parameters required perfect timing and mathematical accuracy. A miscalculation of even a few decimal places could result in catastrophic system failure. Worse, it might create dimensional instabilities that could affect Earth itself. The alien Flagship was now within the optimal targeting zone. Rivera's sensors showed that the vessel's shields were active but operating in a defensive configuration, designed to protect against conventional weapons. The aliens had no reason to expect an attack using principles of physics they didn't know humans had discovered. Rivera activated the quantum displacement field. The impossible disappearance and completely silent. 1. Moment the Dominion's fist occupied 15 kilometers of space at the head of the invasion fleet. The next moment, that space contained nothing but vacuum and the fading echo of disrupted quantum fields. Captain Chen watched the event through her ship's sensors, her tactical displays struggling to process what they had just recorded. The alien Flagship hadn't exploded, hadn't been destroyed, hadn't been damaged in any conventional sense. It had simply ceased to exist in normal space-time, leaving behind only confused energy, readings, and gravitational anomalies. The reaction from the alien fleet was immediate and chaotic. Ships that had maintained perfect formation began breaking away in random directions. Communication channels that had carried disciplined military reports suddenly filled with panicked transmissions in languages Chen's translation systems couldn't immediately process. Dr. Rivera monitored the quantum field readings with professional satisfaction. The displacement had worked exactly as his theoretical models had predicted. The alien flagship hadn't been destroyed or damaged. Instead, it had been relocated to a dimensional pocket that existed parallel to normal space. The ship and its crew were perfectly safe, but they were also completely unable to affect or be affected by events in the real universe. From the alien fleet's perspective, their most powerful warship had simply vanished without explanation. No weapon signatures had been detected. No energy discharges had preceded the disappearance. One moment their admiral was leading them toward an easy victory, and the next moment he was gone. The psychological impact on the remaining alien commanders was devastating. Their tactical doctrine was based on overwhelming technological superiority. They were trained to expect resistance from primitive weapons that their shields could easily deflect or their armor could absorb. They had no protocols for dealing with technology that could make their ships disappear entirely. Commander Thane, the fleet's second-in-command, found himself suddenly responsible for a military operation that had transformed from routine conquest to inexplicable catastrophe. His training told him to maintain formation and continue the mission. His instincts told him that he was facing something beyond his understanding. The human, Factor Sarah Chen, seized the initiative with the tactical brilliance that had made her Earth's premier military commander. While the alien fleet struggled to understand what had happened to their flagship, she coordinated a global response that demonstrated humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt and improvise under impossible circumstances. Earth's hidden defense installations came online simultaneously, revealing military capabilities that the alien reconnaissance had completely missed. Orbital weapons platforms that had been disguised as communication satellites began targeting the confused alien vessels. Underground missile installations launched salvos of fusion warheads equipped with quantum guidance systems that could track targets through dimensional phase shifts. Most importantly, Rivera's quantum communication network allowed Earth's forces to coordinate their response with perfect timing and efficiency. Commands issued from the Colorado Command Center reached every military installation on the planet instantaneously, enabling complex operations that would have been impossible using conventional communication methods. The alien fleet suddenly found itself facing an opponent that shouldn't have existed. The primitive world they had come to conquer was revealing technology that matched or exceeded their own capabilities. The humans, who should have been cowering in terror, were instead launching coordinated attacks with weapons the aliens couldn't even identify. Commander Thane attempted to rally his forces, but his ships were scattered and demoralized. The psychological advantage that had always belonged to the hegemony was gone. For the first time in their military careers, his officers were facing an enemy that seemed to possess inexplicable capabilities. More alarming still, the quantum field that had displaced the flagship was expanding. Rivera's calculations had included this possibility. The displacement effect could be propagated through resonance patterns, allowing multiple targets to be affected simultaneously. As Thane watched in growing horror, 3 more ships in his fleet suddenly vanished from normal space. The message was clear. Earth possessed the ability to make their entire invasion force disappear, one ship at a time, until nothing remained but empty space and broken dreams of conquest. The revelation. Rivera opened a communication channel to the alien fleet, his voice calm and professional as he addressed beings who had come to destroy his world. The translation algorithms he had developed allowed him to communicate in their own language, adding another layer of shock to their already overwhelming confusion. He explained, with the patience of a teacher addressing confused students. that Earth's inhabitants had been aware of the hegemony's existence for years. Their monitoring of alien communications had revealed not just the invasion plans, but detailed information about hegemony, technology, and military tactics. What the aliens had interpreted as primitive ignorance was actually careful deception. Earth's scientists had deliberately maintained the appearance of technological backwardness while secretly developing defensive capabilities based on captured hegemony technical data. The quantum displacement technology that had eliminated the Flagship was just one example of human innovation applied to alien physics principles. Rivera offered Commander Thane a choice that must have seemed surreal under the circumstances. The alien fleet could withdraw immediately and report to their superiors that Earth was under the protection of an unknown advanced civilization. Alternatively, they could remain in Earth's system and discover just how many of their ships could be made to disappear before their morale collapsed entirely. The decision was really no choice at all. Thane ordered a full retreat, his remaining ships fleeing toward the edge of the solar system at maximum speed. For the first time in hegemony history, a conquest fleet was abandoning its mission not because of military defeat, but because of complete technological bewilderment. As the alien ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Sarah Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Earth had not only survived its first contact with hostile aliens, but had achieved something unprecedented. They had convinced a technologically superior enemy that humans were the more advanced species. Dr. Rivera shut down the quantum displacement field, knowing that Admiral Vex and his flagship would soon return to normal spacetime. When they did, they would find themselves alone in empty space. Their fleet gone, their mission failed, and their understanding of the universe fundamentally changed. The message they would carry back to the hegemony council was simple but profound. Earth was not the primitive world it appeared to be. Humanity had achieved something the galaxy's most powerful empire had never encountered before. They had turned apparent weakness into decisive strength, transforming technological disadvantage into strategic victory. The age of human isolation in the galaxy was ending. What would begin in its place would depend on choices yet to be made. But one thing was certain: the universe would never again make the mistake of underestimating humanity's potential for surprising those who thought they knew what humans were capable of achieving.